That's fantastic.
Yes, the Hungover Gaming Podcast, aka the Hungover Podcast, is the most fantastic podcast that you can get on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play, and also in video form on YouTube and live on Twitch right now.
What?
A little
Live?
late. We're coming at you late because I was super tired on Sunday.
I was too.
Because I was incredibly hungover for a third Sunday in a row, and that was really bad.
Every weekend you're just drinking.
I'm a partier, you know. Some would say that might be related to our current topic of the show, which will be this college admissions scandal that's been going on. Celebrities and many other people bribing their children's way in to very highly regarded colleges in America. It's the scandal sweeping the nation, Ivan. It's the scandal sweeping the nation, although it's probably old news at this point. Let's be honest. Come on, there's something new. It's a new week. We should have talked about it last week. What were we thinking?
Yeah,
well,
you're right. You can't let any information stew for a week to understand what's going on. You just have to speak about it immediately without any knowledge of what's happening, but make harsh and severe judgments of people, places, and things.
That's what I do all the time, Ivan, and that's why we started this podcast.
That's why Last Week Tonight is a really important show.
I know. It takes the time to do the hardcore research. John Oliver and his team. Anyways, Ivan, thank you so much for coming, for taking the time out of your day.
Why do you always thank me? I'm
because
here as a partnership. You don't have to thank me. If it was a special guest, then we should thank them.
Well, I just wanted to be nice to you for once, all right? So thank you so much.
You're too
spending
nice
the
to
time.
Me. That's the problem. That's why I
doing
don't
the
like
podcast. It's a great podcast, I know. We have 88 whole subscribers on YouTube. None of those accounts are fake, and none of them are duplicate accounts from me, let me tell you. We have at least, actual 84 real subscribers.
That's true.
I can agree with that statement. So if we keep it going, we'll hit 100, guys. Don't forget, this is your last chance. Subscribe to the channel. No, please, if you're not subscribed to the channel, say you just listened to us in audio form, go ahead and check us out on YouTube. It's a lot of fun. We do a lot of cool YouTube videos. But Ivan, we start our podcast out every single week by asking each other, what media have you been consuming throughout the week, and what did you drink last night? Ivan, the floor is yours.
I saw, as my media, Bad Times at the El Royale.
Sounds familiar. I don't know what that is, though.
It was a movie that came out a little bit ago. It starred Chris Hemsworth, John Hamm, Dakota Johnson.
Nice. Yeah,
that's
that's all you need. That's all you need.
Anymore. Anyway, it was pretty good. I think this is definitely a movie that would have been better to be viewed in theaters. It's definitely a go-to movie to see this kind of movie. Yes, visually striking. It was a movie that reminded me of a ripoff of Quentin Tarantino.
Whoa. Hard to rip him off.
It was somewhere between Tarantino and Blade Runner 2049 with visual color palette. Nah, probably closer to La La Land in terms of colors and the use of them, and it's very neon, which reminds me of Blade Runner 2049 and the original Blade Runner with the neon signs and such. But the color palette is really stunning. I think overall it's a really good movie. It has a really great soundtrack. I think last year was a really good year for movies that had pretty good soundtracks. Last year and the year before, Baby Driver and Bad Times at the El Royale, I think were really, really good in terms of selecting music, curating them. So there were just some really good visuals, really good audio cues, and Jeff Bridges was in it as well. Always a stunning performance. So watch that.
Jeff Bridges, I really like him. He's a great actor.
He's a very good actor. He's very good in this movie.
That's awesome.
I also watched and finished Broadchurch, which is a British television show from a few years ago.
Cool.
It's about two detectives basically in this small English town who solve essentially one major case per season. There are 3 seasons, although the cases are kind of referential throughout the series.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the cases that they deal with in season 1 come back in season 2, and the characters affected by all of those stories are still there in season 3 because it's based on this one town. Season 3 felt very different from season 2, but kind of similar to season 1. Talks about a case that affects a lot of people in a town and things like that. So there's just a lot of really interesting character work.
Okay.
I would say that the acting is really good. The plot is a little bit coincidental. There's too much going on, all that stuff. But it keeps you entertained because it stars David Tennant and Olivia Colman. Olivia Colman, I believe, just won the Oscar for supporting actress for The Favorite, the Yorgos Lanthimos movie. She was amazing in that movie and was very, very good in Broadchurch.
Very cool.
So I think the series gets its heart from the interaction between David Tennant, the former Doctor Who, and Olivia Colman, and then everything else around that kind of falls into a lot of character work and actors being able to really live a few characters. And I thought that was really good. I haven't played different games other than Fallout 4, Overwatch, and Phantom Doctrine, although I'm nearing the end of Phantom Doctrine.
Nice.
But the gameplay has gotten a little bit repetitive, so it's difficult to, like, stay active.
Nah, that's annoying.
Keeping to play that.
It's
like,
too
Overwatch,
long, huh?
Overwatch, the gameplay is repetitive in certain aspects, but there's so many different characters.
Yeah.
That you can play, and then every time you're going into a match, it's a little bit different. So overall, it feels like a newer or a familiar but not old experience.
Yeah, it's a competitive multiplayer game, so you are put in the same situations a lot, and so the way the game rewards you is that if you practice enough, you will win the fight more and more times in a row, and then that solidifies your ability to, I guess the serotonin goes off every time you do it correctly, right, in the game. Yeah. And so it rewards you in that way, that you feel good about successfully doing something pretty difficult in the game, which is, repeated at you. Or if you suck at the game, then you just drop an SR. So sad.
Yeah. Well, but I also think that it's a unique game because it might be more interesting or equally as interesting to people at our SR as people at the highest SR, because people at the highest SR often are playing the same 6 characters versus the same 6 characters every single time. It's the meta, right?
Right.
But at our level, the meta doesn't really matter because nobody can fucking play the game.
Be on the lookout for Overwatch replay coming back at the end of stage 1 of the Overwatch League.
Too many games for us to do it every week, but we could do it at the end of each stage.
Yes. We can do one video. But, yeah, as you were saying, sorry to interrupt you.
No, yeah, so I just think that there's a lot of interest in Overwatch. And, excuse me, I'm still very tired. I worked from 7 to 3, so I'm tired at this point in the day. There's a lot of variation at our level of characters and compositions.
Yeah.
Not all of them good, but a lot of variety, so it keeps it interesting. I know it's boring for us to talk about Overwatch again, especially since the game's 4 years old or whatever, but
it's still a great game. I like it a lot.
Oh, I did. Was this the week I played my first game of Apex?
Yeah, well, last week, yeah.
Yeah, but we did it after the podcast.
Sure, yeah.
I played my first game of Apex.
It's a new week now, though, because it's Monday, but yes.
Fine, fair enough.
That's what I'm saying.
I was talking podcast to podcast.
Okay, yeah.
We placed second in my very first game of Apex.
That was pretty lucky. I got 1 kill in that game. E-Man carried us this way. I don't know if he carried us. You got 2 kills, right?
I think I got at least 1, and I downed somebody.
Yeah. That game is fun. I like that game a lot.
I've still only played it the one session of 3 games.
That's fine. That's all you need. They're actually going to implement the season passes like in Fortnite. So I think it's $10 to, I don't know, whatever you get. You complete challenges, and then you get skin rewards or something. I don't know, weapon rewards, something like that. So I may buy it. This game I'm kind of interested in, and it was free to play anyways. So if I spent $10 on it, it's not the end of the world. And I'll see what the first pack entails, and then if I'm not engaged enough, then I'll just not get the next season pass. But I think I might get it. We'll see. But is that all you did? You just working hard, living life?
Yeah, that's about it.
Cool,
I mean,
man.
I played the same like 6 games, so.
I hear you. Yeah, well, as for me, I don't watch movies. I don't watch TV shows. I just play video games. I've been getting really into this game called Devil May Cry 5, the newest in the series. Capcom has been long dormant on this series for a while, I guess. I think the last one came out in like 2013 or something. This game is amazing. Capcom has been on a pretty good streak as of late. It started with Resident Evil 7, which you really liked. Then they released Monster Hunter World, which I really liked as well. I mean, I liked Resident Evil 7. And then they released Resident Evil 2 Remake, which everyone really liked. And then now they've released Devil May Cry 5, which also everyone really likes. So this game, you can throw out the story. It's ridiculous anyways, but it's in there, and the cutscenes are really fucking awesome. There are 3 characters. It's a third-person action game that focuses heavily on combos. So it's not like, for instance, an action game like Dynasty Warriors where you're just mashing one button or 2 buttons repeatedly. This game rewards you in that, it's sort of arcadey in that it gives you a style point score or an overall ranking. Each mission you can get up to like triple S ranking, going through D to A to triple S, and based off of your style points. So it encourages you that way to use different moves in your repertoire and to upgrade your character, because you upgrade your character with a currency, and that unlocks different combos that you can do. And they're not all just mashing one button. You have to tap it at certain rhythms. You have to switch up your weapons. And the cool thing is there are 3 different characters that are all really unique. Dante is obviously the series protagonist, and they've added Nero into this game. I believe he was in Devil May Cry 4 as well. And then they added this new character, V, who is this weird emo guy. And they're all trying to kill demons or something. It doesn't really matter. They're trying to get a sword back and then kill this demon king. And it's sort of like a satire on punk rock. I get a punk rock scene. Everyone's really comical, but they're all trying to kill demons, and like they're all covered in blood at some point. And then it's the story doesn't really matter. The gameplay matters a lot, as with most Capcom games. They really excel at creating really interesting characters, and they have many IPs in the Capcom library, and all the gameplay of their games is just really kind of top tier, I would say. I really like Capcom as a publisher. So if you're looking for, and the other cool thing is that this is just a single player game, man. I think they might have DLC down the line, but honestly, it's like a 20 mission game. It takes about maybe 15 hours to complete, let's say, and then you've beat the game, but you haven't unlocked everything. So the idea is you just keep replaying the missions over and over again. You unlock it, then you unlock different difficulties, and to complete the game, it will take a long time, but it's just like one mission after the other. So it's not like this open world nonsense game that we've sort of been saturating the market as of late, from Ubisoft, EA, big AAA games like Assassin's Creed and games like that. They're all good game, probably good. Far Cry, I guess, all probably good games in their own right, but there isn't enough variety coming out of AAA video games right now, and so it's really great to see Capcom on the other side of things, showing us a single player game that, single player games are still really fun, right? So I'm excited about that game. And then I went to a party on Saturday and I drank, what is it called, Ivan? It's a Czech drink. Bekryovka. I said it correctly. That's right. Ivan has it right there. It's an herbal, spicy-ish drink. It's kind of sweet. It's a liquor. It's got cinnamon notes in it at the end, I believe.
There's a lot of herbal essence in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of herbs in there. It's not just cinnamon, but I think cinnamon's a pretty prominent flavor, as it usually is in whatever you use it in, because it's such a powerful flavor. But I also had some soju because I was with my friend who's been living in Korea. He had to bring the soju. And then I had some Sour Monkey, which is my girlfriend's favorite sour beer from Victory Brewing. And I got drunk enough to be hungover and then sleepy. So we didn't record the podcast yesterday.
Dude,
but
it's
Ivan,
super easy to get sleepy.
do you remember our days drinking soju, drinking baijiu, drinking period,
Just drinking.
lots of beer, PBR? What did we drink in college, man?
You would drink entire bottles of wine.
Yeah, that was
home.
fantastic. I loved doing that. Let me tell you, you have so much free time in college, and I had an ungodly amount of free
time.
I
what
wish.
Are you talking about?
I was
had
a
one
Twitch streamer
semester
back
where I
then.
had classes on 3 days.
This guy had more free time than I, and he was confused why I was drinking an entire bottle of wine, enjoying movies and Netflix and playing video games, and then they got home and they're confused. Like, what is this? Why is he so drunk? Dude, I'm in college. That's why. Basically,
I'm
trying to segue
you and
to the topic,
Laura down to talk about The Matrix, because she just recently watched all 3 movies for the first time ever.
Oh, she watched all 3. Oh, I thought it was just the first one.
All 3.
I'm sure it'll happen. I'm going to go visit Ivan on the 5th of April. It should be fun. I will watch The Matrix with or without him at his place. It's fine. But yeah, so Ivan, speaking of college, we both got into college based on our own merits, I would say. I wink, wink. Totally. And we went to a pretty reputable university, I would say. I think it was a good school. I learned a lot. I have some great friends from it. Thank you.
March Madness, and it's not accused. In the DO, the student newspaper, they just put out an article saying they're not in what we're about to talk about. The admission scandal.
Yes. And basically what I'm trying to allude to is some people may be getting into college not so honorably. Maybe not to their knowing, but maybe also to their knowing. Yes, Ivan. Hashtag college admissions scandal 2019. Enter the world of whatever the fuck we're going to talk about for the next 20 minutes or so.
You're telling me that students got into college for basketball and they never played a game of competitive basketball in their life, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm on the basketball team, and they didn't know?
Yes,
so
yes.
What is the general gist of what we're talking about here?
I believe, I don't understand how this just came out in 2019, right? Very rich parents have been bribing their children, their young, innocent children, into schools that they want them to get into. Very highly reputable schools, such as the University of Southern California, USC, is that the one?
Yep, USC,
UCLA, all in California. Let's just put it there. No, not all of them, right? I don't know all the schools,
California things.
Because there are a lot of great schools in California, obviously. And so they are bribing, quote unquote, and definitely not. Let's just leave the quotes out because it's just a literal sense of the word. Their way in by paying, these. I don't know. It's a private. It's a person, right? Who is working in the admissions office?
The parents would pay, like, coaches or whoever in
I know they were paying coaches, programs. But it wasn't just the coaches, right? In some cases. Oh, okay.
It was like the athletics department or the coaches or things like that. Basically, because once you become a student athlete, the academic rigors shrink down substantially.
Oh, yes. My dad went to he went to Harvard, and he said they would always he knew some of the athletes, and he knew that they had like a special astronomy 101 that they would call rocks for jocks, and it was great. But yes, it is, I think, well known that the student athletes do not have to take the most difficult classes in the college's curriculum. I would have to say, not that they don't. Some of them don't seek it out. I'm sure some of them. I believe didn't the Syracuse quarterback have a master's degree of some sort, if I'm not mistaken?
Who? What?
Yeah, never mind. I don't know.
I know.
Forget it.
I just missed what you were saying.
Didn't the Syracuse quarterback have a master's degree of some sort?
He was. There was a Syracuse quarterback who was in grad school, and there's like if you don't use up all of your eligibility as as an undergrad, you have certain eligibility to participate in NCAA sports as a grad student.
I see.
And the Syracuse quarterback, when we were going there, had played NCAA basketball, but had 1 year of eligibility, and thus was able to play quarterback, even though he hadn't played quarterback since he was in high school. He played quarterback for the Division I Syracuse University squad.
Basically, colleges in America put a lot of emphasis on the sports that their colleges provide. Obviously the basketball is huge, college basketball is huge, and college football are huge because of the opportunities and connections they have with the NFL and the NBA. And, they basically send these kids through very little education at the college, if at all. But the opportunity is there for them if they want to, if they can fit it in with their tough training schedule, of course. And I believe most of the I don't know. I won't speak
actual student athletes who aren't taking paper courses like they would at UNC and have been accused of doing it, and I think convicted by the NCAA at SU, even though SU is not the worst violator. UNC and Duke and other higher publicized schools are, but Syracuse is just low enough on the totem pole for them to fuck Syracuse. That aside, most student athletes are specifically going through a very rigorous academic profile in terms of the fact that they are not allowed to slack off or do extremely poorly. They don't have to get the highest grades in a course in order to be eligible to play, but most universities still attempt to maintain a high degree of rigor within the student athlete portion. Now, there are some sports that do this better than others. For instance, NCAA basketball, the NBA has a policy basically where kids who are very good at basketball only have to spend 1 year outside of high school to join the NBA.
Right,
exactly. Some of them go to play in a professional league in China or Europe. Some of them go to the G League, and others participate in collegiate basketball. But the problem with that is that there are quite a few students who go to collegiate basketball, play until March, basically when the tournament is over, or if their team even qualifies for the tournament, and then they drop out of school and get ready for the draft. So, are they really college students?
Yeah,
Some would
exactly.
argue yes, some would argue no. Because they
I
know that
don't.
they're going to drop out anyway, so it doesn't really matter to them.
It
So there
should.
are some, but there are some sports that do it a little better. I don't know if it's better or not in terms of for the athlete, but with football, they have to be in the university for quite a while, at least 2 years, before they can enter into the NFL. Meaning that students have to maintain eligibility to play at a collegiate level for quite a few years
Right.
before entering.
And of course, college basketball and football are the two biggest sports in America. I would say even college
Yeah, for
basketball
sure.
probably overtakes NBA at some point in some people's eyes, not everyone's eyes, but
I mean, a lot of people prefer
yeah,
college basketball to the
yeah,
NBA. I know
exactly.
I've spoken to a lot of people, especially from the Syracuse area, who really prefer college basketball because, well, there's a huge college basketball team in Syracuse, but no professional team
Right,
since
and
the
so
Syracuse Nationals left for Philadelphia. But this is a set aside
yeah,
for that. What we're really trying to get to is that the yes, these students have to be academically rigorous, but they don't have to be the best. And that's kind of what it means when we're talking about this admission scandals because as a lot of people are tuning in know, the parents would pay for them to be part of a sports program because these kids couldn't cut it to get in other ways.
hmm
Or the parents paid for other people to take the SATs for them or to cheat during the SATs, etc. So there's a lot within this story this about rich people using money as power in order to grant their kids a leg up in the process, which is fucked up to begin with
yeah,
because the fact that these people have the amount of money to get them there, like, why do you go to college? Learn skills, gain networking ability so that you can open doors. Their money is already opening them doors. Their money is already allowing them to get into these schools, some of them public schools, which says a big fuck you to all of the poor people or people who can't afford to bribe whatever coach to get them into the school, you know? So
right, and
I just don't understand the whole point of it.
I believe that they were also using so college football and basketball are super popular, but there are obviously many other sports teams at colleges. So I believe they were using sports that these scandals have been going on for a long time, by the way. So I believe
Right.
the reason why they were able to get away with this type of thing is because they've been using sports that are, much further under the radar, like, say, the tennis team, the crew team. These are all, equally difficult sports to play, but they're not nearly as popular as college football or basketball, or at least not in my opinion. And so I believe the one that everyone's talking about is Aunt Becky, you said, from Full House.
Yeah, Lori Loughlin
Yeah,
on
her two
Aunt
daughters
Becky.
are on the crew team, right? But
Yeah.
they're not on the crew team, obviously. And
So at
yeah,
USC.
at
So
USC, right?
the thing is, like, her one daughter is a social media influencer. A thing that we aspire to be. Please like
We'll
and
be there.
subscribe to our videos. But she's like got 1.4 million followers or whatever on Instagram.
Yeah.
Had a sponsorship with Sephora and actually used her admissions to USC to have a sponsorship through Amazon Prime Student.
Oh yeah, I saw that too. That was
Which is
crazy.
hilarious.
And then didn't she
Hilarious
have
thing.
yeah, I saw this just literally on John Oliver, who we were talking about. He pointed out that in that picture it says OJ, and like, because I get OJ went to USC,
USC, yeah.
and yeah, okay. Anyways, whatever.
I didn't notice, but that's pretty hilarious too. But it's just the fact that, like, her daughter made it known that she wasn't even super interested at times in going to college. That she
Exactly.
wanted
Yeah.
to be this social media influencer character, and was succeeding at it.
Right. No, she
I
was
mean,
doing amazingly at what she
yeah,
was doing. Yeah.
1.4 million followers is not something to shake a stick at. Now, how many of those were bought? Probably a lot. But, it's still popular. I had never heard of her before, but I'm not into, fashion.
And I'm sure she got a lot more
makeup
followers
YouTube.
from this, honestly. This whole scandal,
That's true.
right? Isn't, again,
Although she stayed away from YouTube and social media as a platform since the scandal broke, but she probably will come back to it and be like, hey, my mom made a mistake, but it didn't reflect on
Here's
me.
my
I didn't
apology
even know
video,
that I
yeah.
didn't get into USC for crew, which I've never done in my life, without my mom's help.
Right.
She can pawn it off onto other people. It's
Right. So like you were saying, the real problem with this is that it's it's a systematic, horrible thing going on, that, rich people are just buying their way into success, essentially. If you go to a good school and you do decently, you're probably going to get a better job. Like, for instance, if you go to USC as opposed to a
community college.
no name community college or whatever, yeah.
A lot more recognition and such.
Right, exactly.
But the other thing, I think, one issue is power and money and the
Leading to more
interlink of the
power.
two, and just feeling like you, as a person who has money, you're kind of untouchable. You can do whatever you want as long as you can influence people to allow you to do that, right?
Yeah.
That's one side of things. The other side of things on a much smaller scale is just like these parents were lying to their kids or not telling their kids that they were cheating them into school.
Yeah, right.
And coddling their kids into believing that their kids were just so special they could get in. Like, this is a different level of...
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's a different level of parenting. Like, we had, what was it, helicopter parents? This is like...
Oh, yeah.
Rescue mission, NATO, like, stealth mission shit. This is like the Rambo of parenting.
This is why every kid gets a goddamn trophy at the fucking soccer league. I'm kidding. But yeah, so it's... And then you add in the third layer is that these kids that probably don't deserve to go to the school. I don't know if they... I don't know Becky's
No, they
children.
probably don't deserve
right?
to go to
Okay,
school.
who knows?
They
right?
couldn't get in, and thus the parents paid for them to get in.
Wait, so they applied...
Is the basic sentiment.
They applied, the parents intercepted the rejection letter and then bribed? Is that the situation? Or like...
I just think that the parents were just like, my kid is too stupid to get in.
Okay.
I'm going to pay for them to get in. Or my kid is too stupid to take the SATs. Yeah. I will have the proctor feed them the answer, or have another person take the test for them, cheating, and then trick my kid into the fact that he's taking the real test by proctoring a fake practice exam to him, while his test is being taken by another student.
Right. So the third layer again is that these children now are taking the spot of someone who deserves to be there, which is horrible. Someone who, worked their ass off to get into USC, a great school, maybe possibly someone who couldn't afford to go there, but got there, could have gotten, financial aid to go to the school and have a great, bright future because they went to USC. So that's a really horrible situation that these rich people are putting other people in, and I'm glad they fucking got caught. Fuck these bitches, and good someone caught them. You're right.
It's really annoying when that is that happens at private universities, but we kind of expect it, right? But what we don't expect is when this is happening at public universities, because I felt like at public universities, yeah, there might be cheating, but there's such a greater amount of demand, and I felt like people would have a greater moral obligation to allow for all swaths of people to get in.
Mm-hmm.
But we're looking at kids with disabilities, minorities, poor people, like all of these kids who really want to go to school and are getting shat on by their spots being taken by people who can pay for them. I mean, it's tremendously... everybody's going to say this is a bad thing. I'm going to stick up and say maybe it's a good thing. Maybe capitalism is deciding that rich people should be getting richer. You know, if you have the capital to get them through, then why not just send them through?
It is deciding that. Ivan, you're right. We're beating a dead horse.
More and more frustrated with this whole
We're beating
sentiment.
a dead horse here. Look,
I know.
I'm glad that these fuckers got caught. Send them to jail. You can go to jail for this shit, right?
Yeah, they fucking arrested Becky. I can't believe it. They arrested her for this shit.
Drive her into the fucking ground. What the fuck are you doing? Just donate to the school. Come on, you know you could. Her kids would have gotten it if she just donated that same amount of money to the school.
Okay, come on. But this leads me to a greater point. Like,
God damn,
these people, some of them gave $500,000.
That's what I'm saying. That's a lot of money.
Do you think they just didn't cheat enough?
Like,
for instance, Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, got into Harvard when Jared Kushner's dad donated above $1 million to Harvard.
Okay.
Donates like $1.9 million, and then Jared Kushner just happens to get into Harvard. But there's no scandal there.
Yeah. That's because they just donated.
There's a scandal in Wall Street, but nobody goes to jail other than that small Chinese bank.
Well, the Chinese will never extradite one of their own, so it's all right.
The bankers in Chinatown, let's put it that way. But
sorry.
The whole point is just like, God damn it, Julien.
I love that movie. Oh, it's so good.
Is there what is the difference between these people cheating to get their kids a leg up and other people cheating the system in order to get the money to then be able to have the same kind of influence, not just in college admissions, but everywhere else?
The difference is that it's not strictly illegal to just donate money to the school. The illegal thing is bribery, and there's not enough evidence to corroborate a donation, to link the donation to acceptance letter. So that's it, really.
It's entirely a difficult thing where, yes, we can get these individual Hollywood people that are dumb enough to write very shitty emails to each other or to gloat about how they cheated about getting their kids in. And then the real major crooks who lost billions of dollars and cost people real value in terms of home loss, etc. Mm-hmm. None of them go to jail, but we can arrest Aunt Becky because it's easier. Because it's not as difficult to prove. No, but I'm just saying.
Kidding. I'm kidding. Sorry.
Yeah, I get it. It's easier to prove, but there needs to be some level of accountability. If we're seeing the result of investigations into money and power, which is great, but we really need to go back and really link it to not just the lower levels of money as power, but like $1 million or multi-million-dollar deals and a lot higher level, including to get to the point of like maybe the funneling of money through Trump organizations by Russians.
Right.
So it seems like the larger amount of money that you cheat with, the harder it is to prove, and the more likely you are to get away with it. Either you like steal a pack of gum from your local bodega and you can get away with that, or you steal $1 million or more and you can get away with it. But anywhere in between, you're about to get fucked.
Well, you wanted to study law, right? At some point. Not that you don't still want to, sorry. But
no, I don't.
I mean, you probably have more of an understanding of how the law works than I do. Wild guess. But I just feel that if you can afford enough lawyers in the current law system, then you will always be fine, I think. I think
is a lot of it.
Either that, or you can prolong the just the case, just because the lawyer's just thrown nonsense at the defendant's lawyers, or whatever it would be in this situation, just throwing things to distract everyone from the actual evidence, the compelling evidence, that to the point where the judge just throws out the case, or they settle outside of court, or that type of thing, just because it's been going on for so long, that sort of thing ends up happening. So I feel like, let's say in a hypothetical world, this is not related. I guess it's only related because you brought up Russians and funneling money. Let's say Trump gets impeached, right? Hypothetically, right? That whole case...
I'll take your bait, you commie liberal.
That whole case is going to take way longer than his presidency currently. Let's say he even gets elected for a second term.
Because to bring him to impeachment would require Republicans to actually have morality.
Okay, yeah. Well, just the whole process leading up to impeachment would take way too long anyways, if we started it now, right? So it's just, that's the kind of money we're talking about here, even though Trump isn't technically that rich on the scale of rich people in America, I would say.
Especially since we don't actually
certainly
know
rich
whether
enough
or
to become
not
president.
He is rich.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I don't even know his net worth.
How rich is he?
He's not really that rich. Anyways, well, he's way richer than I'll ever be, but...
Fair enough. But he started that way.
Yeah,
his dad
exactly.
had racist housing settlements in New York City.
Hey, man. It's a great city still. All right? It's still great. Ivan...
Yeah.
We're just beating a dead horse here. We both agree
beating
on
a dead horse. I took us on a tangent in order to get us away from beating a dead horse.
Look,
I tried to get away from the dead horse.
Don't waste your money to get your kids into college. Your kids are not gonna get in, and they'll be fine with all your money. All right, just
stick them in
give
front
it to
of
them
a
after you're
YouTube
dead.
channel camera and get them to be a YouTube star.
Exactly.
And don't force them to go to college when they're clearly a social media influencer because their post gets 150 likes on Facebook.
That's a lot of likes.
Instagram.
God damn it.
Kids aren't on Facebook anymore.
Was there anything else you want? Yeah, who uses Facebook? Come on. Was there anything
what else makes a lot of money?
Star Wars. Episode 1 through 8. But not the 9th one yet, because it's not out. What was it that you wanted to talk about with Star Wars?
So we've been getting a lot of notes about hints about what's going on in Star Wars Episode 9. I think a lot of the filming seems to be completed for a few different people. You have people on the trails going, like Oscar Isaac, who plays Poe Dameron.
It's coming out this year, right? In December?
Saying that the saga is over. Yeah, so I just think that this is going to be a really pivotal movie, and where the hype train has already started. And is it too early for the hype train to start for a Star Wars movie, even if it's coming out this year?
I think it's a little early. I feel like summer is a really great time to start the hype train. People will be done with Avengers by then, because I think Avengers comes out in May, right? And I think obviously there has to be some crossover between Avengers fans and Star Wars fans, at least in the slightest. I happen to be one of the people, that crosses over there. Clearly, in 2019, right, we have so many things competing for our time, our free time, that is. And so you have to, in order to hit it right, you have to do it correctly. You have to get your timing correctly, right? So I'm excited for this Pokemon movie, the Avengers movie, and Star Wars. I'm excited for Star Wars, but I kind of am not really thinking about it right now. And I don't really feel the need to, because there's also 5 video games that I'm really interested in. Game of
Thrones is soon.
I don't care about Game of Thrones, but I will once it's all done or whatever. I fuck all of you. I'm not watching it until it's done. All right, Jesus Christ, God damn it. No, so there's a lot of things competing for my time. There's a lot of things competing for everyone's time, and at a certain point, you have to cut some of this shit, or else you're not going to sleep, right? So, can you really just lose sleep over Star Wars coming out? I don't know. It's coming out in December, I'm guessing, and I think we'll learn more. I'm surprised that the actors are saying that it's the end of the saga and that type of thing. I feel like that's borderline spoiler-y-ish.
December 20th is the scheduled
release date. That's pretty cool. I feel like everything, there's going to be no movies coming out on that weekend because they wouldn't make any money if they were smart. If there's no way you would make money going up against Star Wars, right? So that's a perfect time for it to come out. People are coming home for that holiday season, and they're gonna have a lot of free time to go watch Star Wars. So I think that's great. I can't wait for it. I'm excited, but I also think
the last Avengers movie will be coming out before then.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Right. So I mean, Disney is smart, right? They're not pulling an EA. EA sent Titanfall 2 out to die against Battlefield 1, I believe. They both came out like within a week of each other or 2 weeks of each other or something like that. And so those are two huge properties that for EA, a video game publisher, that are also very similar games in terms of gameplay, right?
A week apart.
And so
Titanfall 2 was a week after.
Right, yeah, so what the hell? Titanfall 2 was a very good game. Such a shame.
And a week after that was Call of Duty Infinite Warfare.
Right, so not only that, there was also a second company competing with them, right? So Disney is smart with their large releases, which are obviously the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Star Wars now, and they know that people love both of them. But I guess for a movie, you could watch them, you could watch it back to back and you'd be fine. But like, not everyone's going to do that, obviously. So they're really smart to just have two huge hits within 1 year, almost 6 months apart, which is great for them. They have some smart marketing. I'm not sure where Star Wars is going to go after. I feel like it's on its way out, but we'll see. I think they have an opportunity to make a whole new, trilogy or whatever. Explore new stories within the Star Wars universe or whatever, but I don't know. I feel like it's waning. It's such an old series that I'm not sure it can carry the same weight that it once did. I feel that way.
I think we've had fatigue of a lot of shitty Star Wars movie after shitty Star Wars movie.
Yeah. So right, exactly. It's a fatigue of sorts. I think that Star Wars is on its way out, and
episodes 4, 5, 6 are held in such high esteem.
Yeah, we always go back to just those three movies, right? Were any of them good after that? Right? It's like, who knows?
Yeah, it's just like 1, 2, 3 we make fun of. Although people have come to
terms with 3, I think.
Terms of 3, yeah. I think they view 3 as a better movie. But then everybody shits on Solo and Rogue One. Even though I think Rogue One is a really good movie.
I liked Rogue One. It wasn't bad. And I liked 7 a lot. I wasn't so big on 8, but it is what it is. I think we've discussed Star Wars in the past, but I really think that there is a fatigue going on, and also Star Wars fans are a special breed of fan where they do harken back to this original trilogy and hold it to such high regard for some reason, right? I feel the same way in some ways. It's not that I completely disagree with that notion, but it's so strange that they won't let these movies die, right? They're such such quote unquote great movies, and everything has to be exactly like that. But then if it is exactly like that, for instance, episode 7, which had many story beats from episode 4, then we get mad because they're not giving us something new. So it's really kind of a Like, what the hell do we do,
22.
right? Yeah, what do we do with this series? So I think Disney might be feeling that way, but I think they're also bringing in a lot of new people who what's the two new characters, Finn and Rey, right? I think they're really cool characters. I think they're going to be we'll see what they do with them. I don't know what they're going to do with those characters, but I think that they have an opportunity there, and they've already made 3 movies with them, so that's really great. I'm excited. And Oscar Isaac's character, I like him a lot. And BB-8.
I really like Poe Dameron.
Come on. Yeah, so I think there's plenty of opportunity there, and of course Star Wars is such a beloved universe that they really could flesh out many other stories, but I don't know if people will like it. I don't know, because Star Wars fans are really stingy and stubborn. I would say stubborn is a good word to describe them. But that's why there's new Star Wars fans, which I'm excited for. I hope they get the same feeling that we did watching the original movies, you know. And of course I watched them on VHS, but it was still the same thing to me.
Me too.
I loved them. But yeah, so anyways, I enjoyed.
It's about them kids.
It is
like
really.
the end of the Star Wars.
So
you
is
can
Marvel.
pick up a broom and be a Jedi.
Yes, exactly. Anyways,
do you not see the last
I don't know what these movies are
8?
about. You
There
guys,
was the kid who was like, I'm a Jedi too.
I
Force
saw.
sensitive.
Yeah.
Broom.
Oh wait, that's true. No, that's so dumb.
Spoiler. Sorry.
Spoiler alert. Anyways,
There's a kid who uses
go
the
watch
Force.
it. Actually, we plan to do a review session leading up in the 8 weeks leading up to Star Wars Episode 9, hopefully. Do you want to do it that way? I think that makes sense.
For sure.
We're going to be reviewing each of the movies in podcast form. So if you haven't seen,
chronological or in in chronological order
or
in
in
series
movie
order?
chronological order, you guys tell us in the comment section below what you would like to see if you actually made it to this point in the podcast. Anyways, otherwise we'll discuss outside. Anyways, we end our podcast out in every single week. I don't know what I'm saying. In a song in a segment called Hungover Radio. This is where you, the listener or viewer, can send in your music, whether you produced or played an instrument on and want to share it with us all, to get more clicks for yourself, and we'll play it at the end of the podcast. If not, I get to pick a video game song because we don't normally get copyright strikes for those. Today, I'm going to be picking the Devil May Cry 5 OST theme song. It's great. I love it. The music in the game is really awesome. That game I really can't recommend enough. I really think it's on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. I think I'm super afraid for Bayonetta 3 coming out now because this game has set the bar so fucking high. It's really a great game. Anyways, thank you so much for listening to the podcast, everyone. We'll catch you guys next week. Goodbye.
Bye.